Hey y'all, it is I, Anthony the Canadian Guy, and welcome to Wrestlesode, the solution to your wrestling information problems. Wrestlesode is a member of the Wincombe Sports Network, so remember to check us out at wincombesports.ca to be kept up to date on everything happening here in Alberta in the world of wrestling. Today, I am so excited to be bringing you my interview with the queen of taxes herself, TFA, Taryn from accounting. Man, she's only a year into this business, and already not only does she have the best name in wrestling, but she's got a great story, obviously, how she loved wrestling as a kid, and we talk about her transition into wrestling at these days when she says, you know, she's in her mid-30s and she starts getting into the world of wrestling. It's a really cool little story. You're not going to want to miss it. It's seriously one of my favorite interviews I got to do. Taryn is so chill. Obviously, a huge fan favorite in this last year since she entered the scene here around Alberta. My 2 times I got to see her live here wrestling in Calgary, she was super over. For my first time getting to see her at the Clandestine Society, we talk about it all, so you're not going to want to miss that. But before we do get into that here today, just a quick little note. I want to give a big thank you to the Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/the WCSN, Eric Kraus and Andre Como. Thank you guys for being Patreon supporters over at the WCSN. If you guys are looking to support the WCSN or anybody is a part of the WCSN, consider going over to patreon.com/the WCSN and supporting. But even if you can't, don't feel pressured to. It's totally okay just listening to this and saying hi and everything does more than enough good. So thank you everybody for that. But let's hear from our sponsors over at the Wincombe Sports Network and get straight into our interview with Taryn from accounting.
Hello friends, this is Spencer Love interrupting your regularly scheduled podcast experience to remind you to tune in to wincombesports.ca every Wednesday for Conversations with Love, the one-on-one interview podcast featuring the best of the best in Canadian pro wrestling and available wherever podcasts are played. Tune in to CWL on the WCSN for your previews, reviews, breaking news, and now interviews, proudly brought to you by Beercade YEG.
All right, so I see here it says on line 142 that I have to take the total sum of lines 10 and line 4. Hey, everybody, Anthony here. I am joined today with the queen of taxes herself, Taryn from accounting. Taryn, how are you doing today?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'll start off by asking this because I ask everybody this. With the whole COVID-19 situation going on, how are you doing? How's everything treating you?
You know what? Sometimes I feel bad saying this, but I'm actually quite settled into it now. The first couple weeks were like, I guess a little scary because you don't know what's going on and everybody's so panicked. So I just kind of like stayed in my house and drank a lot and didn't do anything like we were supposed to. But now I'm cool with it. I'm enjoying relaxing a little bit.
It's kind of like everybody has been asking for that kind of pause on humanity for a little bit. Then it happened and everybody went, oh no. And everybody's like, oh yeah, I forgot how good the couch is. It's really nice.
Totally. Yeah. Cause for the longest time I was going, to work and then straight from work to training. So I wasn't getting home until like 9:00 every night. And I loved it. Like I love being busy. I don't love staying home and doing nothing.
Right.
But now I'm enjoying it.
Well, that's awesome. So I guess with that then, like, are you able to like work from home? Like, has that basically become a thing for you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I
good.
work from home and, do what I can there. But,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to take advantage while we can because hopefully this never happens again.
Have you used this time to try to randomly learn new skills? Like I tried to bake bread for a while there, but I didn't work out for me.
No, not at all. I know it's so funny. Every time I go down the bread or like the baking aisle, there's like no yeast. I don't know why everybody decided they want to bake bread all of a sudden.
I think that was everybody's like apocalypse job idea. They're like, well, when everything goes to hell, I'll make the bread.
Yeah, totally. I just stocked up on wine. That was my big thing. The first day I heard, I was like, Kate, we got to go. We got to get boxes of wine because I didn't think the liquor stores would be open.
Thank God they were considered an essential service here, hey?
Yeah.
People would have went crazy without the liquor stores open around here, especially with tax season so quickly approaching, or the tax deadline so quickly approaching.
Exactly. It's so stressful.
Well, with that, let's wind it all back, Taryn. So I listened to your Conversations with Love interview, and you talked about how you got into the world of wrestling. You loved it even as a kid, but I didn't really get to hear too much touched on that. So, like, really, how did it come along? How did you actually get introduced to wrestling?
I don't actually know because nobody in my family liked wrestling. Like, it wasn't a thing my dad or my siblings or my mom watched. As far as I can remember, I think on Saturdays it came on after cartoons. So I have no clue. I don't remember like the first show I ever watched or anything. It just became what I did. I just watched wrestling every Saturday. And I can kind of remember it being after the cartoon. So I'm assuming that's how it happened.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what it was about it. I just loved it, was obsessed as a little girl. And, I talked my parents into letting me get the WWF magazine subscription. And I was just so into it.
That's awesome. So you kind of got into it. Now, you did say to Spencer that you really gravitated towards Crush. Was your guy back in the day. Pardon?
He was hot stuff. I think it was the mullet.
Well, that was the look back in the day. I think you even said, everybody had the golden locks back in the day, but there was just something about his that there were special. But besides Crush, though, like, who else did you gravitate towards? Like, who were your other favorite wrestlers?
I mean, obviously Bret Hart. Mm-hmm. He's like top. Even in my magazine, I used to put little hearts around his head. Shawn Michaels, I used to love.
You must have been torn with that rivalry then.
I know, right? The thing about Shawn Michaels, I'll tell you the truth. I remember this dream. I had a dream about him. And I don't know if you've ever had a dream about somebody, but all of a sudden they just like stand out in your mind. So I had a dream about him when I was a kid. I think he was my uncle in my dream.
Okay.
So I don't know. There's that. And then growing up, I kind of fell out of it. And then coming back to like the Attitude Era, I fell in love with Steve Austin, obviously.
Right. I think that was a lot of people when they kind of got their eye on Stone Cold for that first time. They're like, this guy's got something special that you just kind of have to watch.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You must have really enjoyed that match, Bret Hart versus Steve Austin, then with the double turn.
Yeah.
Oh, it was such a beautiful match.
I just watched a little thing on that recently. I mean, I don't remember it obviously as a kid that much, but watching it back now as an adult and as a wrestler, I definitely appreciate it more.
It's amazing the kind of things what they did with storytelling, hey? Like that storytelling that they were able to accomplish just in ring without even having to say a word. It was beautiful. It's a masterpiece of a match.
Totally. And you don't realize it when you're watching it just as a fan, but going back to watch it now, like knowing a little bit more about psychology and how hard it is to tell a story and how hard it is to like actually portray it the way you want to other people. I definitely appreciate it more.
That's so. From that, then, so you watched wrestling. You came back, like you said, in the Attitude Era. Did you stick with that until you reached becoming adults and wanting to even become training in wrestling yourself?
Not really. Then I fell out of it again after a while. And then, like, I still loved wrestling. I would still watch like all the pay-per-views and stuff, and that was kind of how I followed it after, like, when I became an adult and moved out of my parents' house, and developed other interests outside of that. And then, so I mean, really, I just started following it casually. It was nice to still know everybody and like kind of follow along with the storylines and stuff, but getting back into it again, definitely.
So when did you kind of get back into it then?
Like back into it?
Yeah, I guess when you're like from now.
Wrestling.
Yeah? So this would have been approximately 2016, 2017-ish?
No, I only started wrestling we're
it's 2020 now.
It's 2020. So I only started January 2019.
Was it 2019?
Yeah. It's not been long. I think that was my first minicamp.
Can I just say, just straight up, that what you have managed to do in a year is very impressive.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
You're very welcome. See, like even when me and Paul were talking about it during the Northern Alberta Invitational with your match against Zoe, we were like, I think it's about like 2 to 3 years, maybe. And even that, we're like, that's really impressive to be as good as she is. Like you and Zoe have incredible skills beyond your years. It's a very impressive when I get to watch you guys wrestle. And I've been so thankful that I've got the opportunity to watch 4 of your matches this year against Zoe. Which congratulations on having the winning record this year.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, I think, I am proud of like where I am right now, only having done it for a little over a year. But I think the same goes for Zoe as well. Like we put in a lot of time training, and so I'm proud of where I am. Like we've definitely worked hard, and we know each other well in the ring and outside of the ring. So I think we're good together.
I really like to hear that. And, MRB, or Mike Richard Blaze, had said on his Conversations with Love interview recently that when you look for somebody that he thinks, like, has got what it takes and really shows, like that passion for it, he talks about how you send him messages every day, asking questions and constantly looking for ways to improve yourself. And, he said, because of things like that, people like you are the future of Alberta wrestling. I guess this is something that I've always wanted to try to convey to people. There's this sense of you just have to kind of do it and you have to stick with it and give it your all. And if you do that, amazing things can happen. But it's not an easy industry that you work in wrestling. There's a lot that takes on, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of physicality and everything. How do you still move every day? Like, what keeps you driving forward?
You know what? We do reach out and we do try to get all the knowledge that we can get, but he also like keeps us motivated in that way because he'll give us a little bit of a task, come up with shine moves you want to do, come up with false finishes you want to do. So it kind of keeps us always thinking about it, and then we'll like reply with whatever we want to do. And he's helping us grow outside of the ring during this pandemic. So like he definitely helps keep us motivated. And I mean, now that we can't be in the ring, just working out and trying to be like as strong as we can be when we do get that.
That's really awesome. MRB sounds like he's just like such a wealth of knowledge, and everybody I've heard who's learned from him has said that it's just like an amazing, like next level experience.
It's awesome. And, to touch back on what you said before, which, I'm very flattered that you think I've come a long way in the short time I've been wrestling, but like I really do give a lot of credit to him because when I started training with him, it was like nothing I've ever done before. Like I've never pushed myself so hard, and I've never thought I could do the things that he's like, no, you can do it and you're going to do it. And he just yells at you until you do it. But he like really pushes you to your limits. So yeah,
I think that's
great.
really important in a teacher because, or even like a mentor, I guess you could say, is because if they find that you're just constantly being comfortable with what you're doing, you're never really growing and evolving. You need that person constantly poking and irritating you.
Totally. And I especially do. Like Hill or anybody who I train with will tell you, like, I am a full-on whiner. And I think they're just used to it. There's, okay, Taryn, shut up. Now you're going to actually do it. So like, I need that push for sure.
Well, that's really cool. Well, let's talk about your training a little bit. So let's start back at the very beginning. So you trained with Monster Pro Wrestling, am I correct?
Yeah, that was the first mini camp I went to. And I trained with them from January till October. And then from October on, I was with Force.
That's really cool. So I know some of your biggest fans over there in Monster Pro Wrestling include the Dad Bod Squad. They seem to be a huge fan of you. They said that you're an unofficial member of the Dad Bod Squad. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your time in MPW, especially for those of us down in Calgary who never really get the opportunity to look up there in Edmonton? Like, what was your time like there?
It was awesome. I will say for like a place to start out, it was really, really great. The people that I trained with there for the most part were so nice, so helpful, just really wanted to see you succeed. And the Dad Bod Squad, especially, they were so nice. Taught me a lot of moves, but for the most part, especially there, Sexy Samantha really kind of is who pushed me and showed me a lot of things, a lot of psychology, a lot of planning matches. So she was the one who really helped me out there a lot.
That's one of those names that, as one of those Calgary boys, unfortunately, I haven't even gotten a chance to go up to watch Sexy Samantha wrestle, but she's one of those names that you just constantly hear as just having such good experience and wanting to like teach the next generation and things like that, which is really awesome to see.
Totally. Well, because that's where she's at. She's been in the business for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So she's kind of at the point where she just wants to share what she knows. Like that's going to be her legacy, is just teaching other wrestlers what she knows. So I'm like really appreciative to her for sure.
So you had your time at MPW, and then you've moved on to Force Pro Wrestling, and since then you've even made some appearances for PWA. So with that, so like you're growing all around Alberta, and everybody's been really excited to see you. Just the 2 times that I've seen you wrestle for the PWA in Calgary, instant fan favorite. I gotta really ask, so how did Taryn from Accounting start? Because you really honestly have the best name in wrestling, and that is a quote that I have seen across the internet.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy. When I first approached them at MPW, I was like, I want to be Taryn from Accounting. And like, they didn't really get it. And they didn't think it was as funny as I did. But I just was really like, nope, this is who I want to be. And it's like, the whole gimmick is very similar to my own reality, I guess. It's just somebody who I've been working, a regular 9-to-5 job, and I've been watching other people do the things that I want to do. And kind of later in life, like I'm not a young spring chicken anymore. I'm in my 30s. And I was just like, well, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? So I really like Taryn from Accounting because she's kind of everybody, like she's everybody who's there watching, who maybe wants to step in the ring and who wants to try it out. And also it's stupid and it's silly and it's funny, which is like what I gravitate to. I can be that person because I am that person.
They always say that the best characters are just your own personality kind of cranked up to 11. So that makes me really happy to hear because, I've worked the 9-to-5 job myself. I've worked in a bank. Like, I know what it's like to have to put on that face every day and punch in and punch out. So to be honest, the fact that you took that and you're just like, yeah, I'm going to run with that. And it's become as successful as it is. Like, I've heard so many people around Alberta be like, man, I would love like a Taryn from Accounting t-shirt and stuff like that. So, hey, I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, they're coming, man. I'm going to start taking pre-orders.
Oh, hey, everybody.
They're coming.
Breaking news from everybody right here. I hear here on Wrestlesode. So, well, that's awesome. I'm going to want to take one of those myself. So, but like,
you got it.
Accounting, like, okay, so you're probably thinking up the gimmick. Is it that you liked math, or was you just like, no, I just got to think of like probably the most sort of boring department? Like, how is it
exactly.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, I've met accountants actually, and they're fucking fun. Accountants are wild,
right?
But when you think of an accountant, you don't really think of that. You think, yeah, like boring, stuck in a cubicle, like
pencil pusher, desk jockey kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or if you've ever seen like those videos on YouTube of people like freaking out in an office, with those like security cameras and they're smashing the keyboard.
Oh, I've definitely seen those.
That's what I think about if you're working in a cubicle. Like, how can you stand it? So you just want to get out and fight.
So that's like the whole backstory right there, I guess, in a nutshell for Taryn from Accounting. She went crazy at work, and now she just wants to beat everybody up.
Yeah. Or I want to do something different. I want to get out of that cubicle.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. So, obviously you had a really good transition there at the end of 2019, moving on to Force Pro Wrestling, working now with the PWA, everything like that. And since your 2020 has started, you've definitely had one of the most like dominant performances. Unfortunately, COVID seems to have kind of stepped in your path there a little bit. But besides that, like, what could we expect to see from a like moving forward Taryn from Accounting?
Well, you know what? You say, unfortunately, COVID, but to be honest, like I really am taking this time to, like, I've been working out. I think I'm stronger than I was before. I'm like stronger than ever. Really been working on psychology again with like MRB. And so to be honest, I think I'm going to come back from COVID way stronger, way better, have like a better idea of who I want to be in the ring and what I want people to get out of watching me wrestle.
I really like that mentality, just for the record.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to actually clarify then, because I'm sorry, we as the fans are sad that you're not wrestling at the moment because we don't get to enjoy it.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sad too. Like, I think I was hanging out the other day and I was like, can somebody just uppercut me? Like, just give me a nice European. Like, I just want to feel it on my chest, or like somebody chop me.
Just like walking down the street and it's like, somebody suplex me now. I need a suplex.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I did try. I was like, oh, let me see, because I've been working out with MRB a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? Let me get you up for a power bomb. I just want to. Unfortunately, I didn't do it. I might have broken his toe. Might have dropped him on his head. But
Part of
I
learning.
am craving it. Yeah, exactly. He's such a trooper. But I'm craving the physicality again of wrestling. So I think, to answer your question fully, when I come back, like, definitely stronger and fired up.
I can't wait to see it. And honestly, like, and as sad as I am that there's no wrestling because of that, I know everybody is really going to be trying their hardest, putting on their A game when everything is back up. And as a fan and as a person who gets to go from, show to show, getting to cover this stuff, man, I cannot tell you how excited I am to see what happens next, because like everything that was happening was, especially, in the PWA and RCW, just everywhere across Alberta, everything was on fire when all this started. So yeah. I'm just, I know. So excited.
I'm so excited because I think we might see like how people handled this whole thing when we come back. Maybe some people have snapped, or maybe, who knows?
I mean, we could definitely,
it on,
right? I mean, there's I think the passion and the fans are going to be there. Like, I think as soon as like that first show is announced, you're going to have people like lined up out the door because they're going to be like, I have missed this so much. Mm-hmm. Which kind of actually leads me to my next question. There hasn't been any real live wrestling happening over the last couple of months. Thankfully, we had the Northern Alberta Invitational. We were able to gather those tapes and put together that awesome little tournament. Let's talk a little bit about that, though. So you had your match against Zoe Sager. The match is over, so I don't necessarily mind giving spoilers. Congratulations on once again picking up the next W.
Thank you.
Now, you got to wrestle Zoe, and you've already said a little bit, you've worked with Zoe, you're very comfortable in the ring with her. It shows in spades with how good that match was, and the amount of work that you guys put together. When you work with somebody, let's say from a myriad of spectrum, somebody that you've wrestled only once or you've never wrestled before, to somebody like Zoe who you've had a few different matches with, what does it feel like? Like, how does it change from like when you first step into the ring with them versus like now with Zoe? Like, that level of comfort, how does it make you feel to be able to do bigger and better and stronger kind of moves with her?
Right. I mean, it's that comfort is good. Mm-hmm. And when I was wrestling at MPW, like, I really mostly wrestled Sexy Samantha. So that comfort is really good. But I do enjoy, like, the challenge of stepping in there with somebody new. Like, the first time I wrestled Kat in Edmonton, Kat Von Hees, for PWA, I loved that match because it was challenging and it was something new, and we hadn't really trained, like, we'd never trained together. I didn't know her really at all, but we had a pretty decent match together. We had a good match together, and it was neat for me because I am so green. Like, I haven't wrestled that many girls. So I do like getting in there with new girls because I find it's exciting and you learn new things every time. So, I mean, as much as I love the comfort and being able to like build every time with the same person, it's really nice to get to wrestle new girls and new people.
Well, that actually leads me into a really kind of cool question. So with the Northern Alberta Invitational, I heard a lot of people talking about, okay, we got to see a women's tournament. We got to see a women's tournament across Alberta. Clearly, it seems like you would be gung-ho for that idea because you get to wrestle a whole bunch of myriad of different women. But is there, like, maybe a couple in specific around Alberta that you haven't had a chance to tangle that you would love to get into the ring with?
For sure. Kayla J. I mean,
oh, that would be amazing.
When, I know. I would love it because she's a killer, and we've had a little bit of interactions with a few force shows, but we've never gone one-on-one with each other, and I think she's definitely somebody who would challenge me.
I like that answer. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the Golden Child myself, and honestly, it's sad I haven't got to see her wrestle too much as of late. But when everything comes back and when she's getting to work again, I'm super excited. So anybody who's out there listening, please book that match.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So maybe even looking past Alberta a little bit. Not that I ever like to look past Alberta because this is my home and this is what I love and this is where everything is for me. But looking beyond, have you ever had that dream? Like, do you want to go to the WWE? Do you want to be in AEW? Do you want to be in New Japan getting chopped by Minoru Suzuki? Like, what do you want to be doing?
Listen, that's a tough question for me because I did start wrestling a little bit later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my mid-30s. So, I mean, to get to that level would be fantastic. Of course, that's everybody's dream. I got a tiny taste of it a few months back in February or March, was it? Where I got to be on Raw. Just as an extra, I was in the not on Raw, but we went down there to tape and I was in the No Way Jose Conga line.
Right.
And it was crazy being backstage and getting to see like some of my favorite wrestlers and just, interacting with some of them and just seeing the whole spectacle and how everything is put together and how much like time and effort. And it was so amazing to see. So, I mean, I feel like that's everybody's dream, like every wrestler's dream, maybe not necessarily to be in the WWE, but, it would be great. But for now, like, I really just want to focus on getting better and, putting on good shows locally or in Alberta or in Canada and just kind of go from there.
That's great. And I will say it like this because you said, you started wrestling, now you're in your mid-30s, which is really inspirational just for the fact that you wanted to start something like that, especially something that people would consider super physical, like, oh, you can't be great unless you start when you're like 16 years old, which is crap for the record, because if anybody's ever seen Diamond Dallas Page, they would know that is absolute crap.
Exactly.
Or Taryn from accounting, I guess you could also say at this point. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you've just ever wanted to kind of step into the ring, you've got that opportunity and you really can't be held back because, like, look what Taryn's doing, for instance.
100%. I think when I first saw the flyer for the minicamp, the MPW minicamp, I got it and I said to myself, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. But I don't know about you, but like for me, if I'm like humming and hawing about something, usually I err on the side of like, oh, never mind. And I think that's probably why it took me so long, because I used to be a bit of a never mind person, but I forced myself to go. Like, I forced myself not to talk myself out of it and to push myself. And I'm so happy that I did, because it's been the best experience ever. Like, I feel more confident than I ever have, like, ever in my life. I'm in better shape than I've ever been in my life. I'm happier. I've met the best people. Like, it's been the best experience. So if like that's something you want to do, err on the side of like, okay, I'm going to do it. And if it sucks, and then you've done it and you're fine. But I think if ever anybody wants to do it, they have to do it.
I mean, I've always had that kind of dream since I was a little boy, because I grew up and I loved wrestling, and I'm always like, I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a wrestler. As an adult now, my back says a little bit otherwise, but it doesn't really make me feel any different about wanting to get into the ring at least one time, go to a training camp, something like that. Just, get my ass whooped for 2 days, vomit in the corner, come back, do it again. There's something that seems very appealing about that to me for some reason.
Oh man, you should come and do it for sure.
Oh, I plan
awesome.
on it. Oh, for sure. I definitely want to come up. Top Talent Wrestling Academy opened up there in Edmonton. We've got, the Workhorse Performance Center in Calgary. We've got PPW down in Lethbridge. We've got a myriad of different places I could try to step into the ring. I think the best thing would be if I recorded it, though, because I think everybody would love to watch me laugh at me trying to take a tumble or something like that. But absolutely.
You know what? I've been to, attended a lot of mini camps, and I've never seen anybody come in the first time looking cool. Like, we all look real silly because it's hard. Like, it's weird to throw your body down. It's not natural. So nobody looks good the first time.
To be fair, I don't think I would look good on the 50th time. Absolutely. That's exactly it. I would do it for the love, because, I want to know what it feels like to take a bump. I probably wouldn't enjoy it, especially because I'm told like your first 50,000 times it sucks or something like that. But but besides that, I can't wait to try it.
I mean, I want to be there for sure.
Well, you know what? I'll have to try to make sure I go up there to Edmonton, and I'll invite a lot of people. I'll invite you all out, and you can all laugh at me and chop me if you want. It'll be fine.
Oh, I'm so excited. My very first mini camp, they were, I don't know, they were chopping, and I looked over to Sexy Samantha because she was there helping facilitate or whatever.
Mm.
And I said, oh my God, I wonder what that feels like. I was like, does that hurt? And she just wound up and whack and gave me probably the hardest chop I've ever gotten, still to this day. I have a picture of it, and it's just her hand mark, and the picture's still like 2-3 hours later. I'll send it to you after this.
This is crazy.
But it's definitely a good experience. And like I said earlier, now I'm craving it. Like, I just want that smack right on my chest.
So I will say that is the one move I have officially taken is a chop, and I had a chop from a former RCW champion in Dante Priest at work a couple of months ago. Because I used to work with, I worked with him. It was just funny how that all worked out. So I was like, dude, I don't know what it feels like to take a chop. He's like, do you wanna? And I'm like, this guy, he hasn't wrestled for 10 years, but he's a big guy, and he's still in very good shape, and he's like a black belt in karate. And I was like, yeah, okay. So he chopped me, and I remember like 30 minutes later, like trying to drive my car, and like my arm is like limp because it like got me like right around the shoulder, and I was like, oh.
Ooh.
Well, it wasn't like high or anything, but like my body just wasn't used to it, so like my entire upper left part of my body just started going numb, and I was like, oh, this sucks. So kudos
for sure.
to you.
Like, they are no joke. Even now, when I watch matches that are like tons of chops, like, I pop for that because I know, like, that's no joke. Those people are walking out of there with like bruised chests. They've like really given the fans something to watch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love a good chop.
I just got a couple more quick questions here for you before we wrap it up here today. A couple of quick questions that I got. First off, in terms of social media, so I've had people go, where can we find Taryn from accounting? And so what's the best answer for them?
I mean, yeah, okay, I'll admit I definitely got to get better at social media. But I mean, I've got my Facebook, and I post, all the shows and stuff, and I try to keep on top of it, but it's like still my personal name, so it's Taryn Kroll.
Right.
On Facebook, you can add me. I add everybody.
There you go.
I'm very liberal with the ads. And my Instagram, just Taryn_A_K. So that's basically all I have. Like, I don't have Twitter, or I did at one point, but I don't know. I don't even know if you could find it anymore. I don't have Twitter. I have TikTok, but I don't post on TikTok. I just like watching the videos.
All those nice dances.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. Quarantine is like, all I do is watch TikTok.
It's
so
crazy.
funny.
There's been like these weird like variations of quarantine. Quarantine started, and everybody was like Tiger King, and then about 2.5 weeks later, and since then it's been TikTok since then. So
Totally.
but that's what it feels like. It's like we can narrate quarantine at this point.
I did have a big puzzle phase in between Tiger King and TikTok.
Like jigsaw puzzles?
Oh yeah, I did a lot of puzzles.
Oh, you gotta tell us a little bit about the puzzles now. We can't leave before you tell us about your puzzles.
Oh damn! Well, there was a tiger one inspired by Tiger King.
Okay.
We did a tiger one. We did a mountainscape. We did gems. We did. Oh man, there's too many to name. But I would be up till 3 a.m. just like doing puzzles, and I would spend 5 hours on them, thinking it was like 20 minutes. You get in a zone.
Now, you said you haven't really tried. Were you a big puzzle person before quarantine as well?
I mean, not really.
Well, then that's what your quarantine
I like
skill
doing
became.
puzzles. I guess, you know what, you're right. That's my quarantine skill.
You're probably a lot better at doing
edges.
them now.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, because there is a system. Like, you got to lay out the pieces to begin with. You have to do the outside first, like the edges. But, I mean, everybody knows that. But I've seen people not do that, and that's psychotic.
Yeah, I've
to
seen people
not
start
get
from the center.
edges first.
Those are the type of people who
That's
bite
good.
chocolate bars that are like breakable squares, just like, "Ouch," and they just leave like a big tooth mark. And then you look at these people and you're
Oh,
like, you are the type of person who shouldn't exist.
yeah. Who hurt you?
Yeah, who hurt you as a
What
child?
happened?
Another question I have here for you. This one I asked everybody. So throughout time in wrestling, there has been multiple and countless different championships. If there was ever a championship belt or anything that you would love to say that you were the holder of, what belt or what championship would you love to say is Taryn from Accounting's championship or champion belt? I've never been good at asking that question.
Ones?
Yeah, it could be anything. Like you could be the NXT champion. You could be like, you could be anything.
Oh man. Okay. I'm just trying to think.
Take your time. It's a big one. I won't play
It
Jeopardy
is a big
music.
one.
I will not.
Well, because I mean, obviously the top since I was a little girl, wouldn't it be so great to be the WWE Women's Champ?
That's a great answer. Absolutely.
But I mean, for right now, like to be honest, like I'm super stoked on the PWA. I'm super happy to be there. And this sounds really cheesy. That's why I was like pausing at first because I was like, don't say that, Taryn. You're going to sound so lame. But like the reality is like I want to make a name for myself there. I love it there. And so that's what I want right now. I want that PWA Women's Championship. And like, I'm not even in the conversation, but like, I'm going to put myself there. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, as a person of statistics and math, obviously, I look at your record over somebody like a Zoe Sager, the previous women's champion, and obviously I look at your match win record over somebody like a Gigi Ray, your current women's champion, and I go, based on statistics, I might have to say Taryn from Accounting might be next in line, just based on math. I know you would like that math because, accounting.
You know what? You might be right, but I'm not going to really rest on statistics. Like, I'm gonna fight for it.
Oh, hey, there you go. I'll leave the
it.
fighting for you. I will stand back here and I will check off everything on Form T4EA, whatever this one is here. I'll do all that for you. You go beat people up. I'll just talk about it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Taryn.
You can be my new assistant.
There you go. I'll be the assistant to Taryn from Accounting. You can call me Anthony the assistant.
Yeah.
All right, but before we do let you go here today, plug anything you want, talk about anything you want. The floor is yours.
I mean, obviously with COVID, there's not much to plug, but like, I just hope that when this is lifted, everybody comes back and is like really excited to be there. And I think they're going to see some really great wrestling when wrestling in general comes back, because I think everybody's just so hungry to get back in there. So yeah.
I couldn't agree
That's
more.
all I got.
Well, hey, that's fine. Everybody is so stoked to have Alberta wrestling back and wrestling in general. I mean, obviously, the WWE and AEW holding everybody down, holding down the fort for us with who get that itch. But, I mean, there is an itch that the Alberta wrestling scene, you just can't quench it with WWE and AEW, in my opinion. There's something about that local scene. Seeing the guys in the crowd that you've known for years, you know what I mean? Seeing the workers out in the ring, something special. I can't wait for it to be back.
I know, me too.
All right. Well, Taryn, thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you have yourself a wonderful
thank
day.
you.
And I hope
you too.
I hope it goes smooth for you. I hope this COVID thing ends quickly and we can all get back to just enjoying some good old wrestling.
I know. I'll see you soon for sure, though. I think when this is lifted, we're all going to have a nice little time.
I think so. Yeah, I'll definitely try to find a way to get up there to Edmonton and we'll all go grab a coffee or something.
Yeah.
Or more adult beverage, whatever.
I mean, today is National Caesar Day.
Is it?
Well, when we're
my favorite
recording
drink.
this. So if the people are listening to this later, you can have a Caesar now and just say, it's retroactive to National Caesar Day.
Absolutely. Hey, and also, just as the Calgarian, Caesars are from Calgary. I love this place.
Next. Okay. You guys can have that one, but otherwise...
that's fine. You guys have the orders. I don't want them anyways. Anyways, have yourself a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you, Taryn. Have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
A huge thank you once again to Taryn for joining me here today. I cannot wait to see what the future is going to hold for Taryn from accounting. I think, honestly, like, we're going to be seeing a lot of her around Alberta. She is a powerhouse now in the women's division. She's incredibly over. She's got a great gimmick and such a great name. And as you guys can tell, such a cool person as well. So I can't wait to see more from Taryn from accounting. And thank you all for listening here today. If you did like what you heard, remember to hit that like button and subscribe on whatever podcast app you're listening to this on. We're on a bunch of them now. So, yeah. And if you also want to help out the show, remember to give us or leave us a 5-star rating and review if that is what you want to do. Thank you all so much for tuning in here today, and I will chat with you soon.